All right, let's do it. Welcome back to another episode of the 77 WABC Sports Podcast. A little hiatus for James and myself, but we're back. We're going to do a quick one today, about 20 minutes, because James has other things to do.
I always do.
And he always does. Probably the busiest man in the entire world right here, James Flippin, sitting to my left. I mean, I don't know anybody that is busier than you in the entire world.
One of the busiest guys in broadcast.
I feel for guys like you, man. You're just busy.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel anything. Just feel inspired by what I do.
Inspired by. Well, tell the people what you do. What is it that you do?
Well, I broadcast on the radio. I write for the website.
Wow.
Talk to people in the hallway. And
yes, you do. You have a lot of hand motions. You have a lot of conversations in the hallway. You drink a lot of coffee.
I do.
This stupid Blank Street coffee cup I see every single day.
You're shouting out Blank Street? No shout a free publication.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that their business is going to go through the roof now that I put their coffee cup up.
I reuse the cup so that I don't waste the cups.
Oh wow! Now you're looking out for the environment.
And the company's bottom line.
Nice.
They don't have to think about all the money I'm saving them, not using not only the paper cups but the plastic lid. I don't need it. I got my own. Every time I have coffee, I'm saving the company money.
Nice. That is just special stuff that James Flippin is doing. I mean, I haven't really met a guy like you in my entire life.
Because I reuse the coffee cup, I'm really doing my part for the company's bottom line.
Okay, let's move along because I don't want to talk about this anymore because you're bothering me today. And I'm in a bad mood, and I'm hoping we get some good content because you got me really pissed. And you genuinely got me pissed off today.
You're fleshing out your swag here. You know what I mean? You've got your gold. You've got your Michael Kors sneakers, which I had to ask you who's MK.
Yeah, this guy doesn't even. I mean, what are we doing? You don't even know what MK is.
Does Michael Kors, is that one of those, where, obviously, Louis Vuitton, you think of, elephant.
If I stuck this shoe
do you think of
in your face and it said MK,
but it says, but see,
and
that
you
actually
what brand is that? You have problems.
That one says Michael Kors under it, though.
It says Michael Kors. It has MK. It says Kors.
The pattern on the shoe
and you
does
still
not.
say, what brand is that?
I don't know. I don't think of
Listen,
Michael
one of my
Kors
favorite sayings, you start to use one of my favorite sayings is people get it and people don't get it.
That's
and
true.
every single day I learn that you just don't get it. And that's fine. There's nothing bad about that. You have you're good at many things in life, but man, I could write a list of the things that you do that piss me off every single day. Starting this podcast, you say, you want to do a podcast? Yeah, I want to do a podcast. All right, we're going to record at 10:20. Start a Google Doc, put some ideas on a doc. We'll brainstorm together. And then after this, when you leave and you go back to your desk, I'll cut up all the video. And at about 10 o'clock, no Google Doc, no answer, no ideas. At 10:10, no Google Doc, no answers, no ideas.
I added an idea.
So you really got me charged up now.
Why don't we get into...
So what did James Flippin come up with? What is the great idea that James Flippin came up with for the podcast?
I said that I like the fact that the former 76ers owner bought up all those tickets.
What's his name? You don't even know his name? Shit, I'm really fucked.
Are you dead? Are you cooked?
What's his name?
I can't remember. I literally just read it, but I can't remember. He's the current Fanatics CEO.
Michael Rubin now.
Michael Rubin. Thank you.
The guy that has the big whiteout parties in the Hamptons.
Okay. You know this kind of stuff. You're into, you like to know, what the celebrities are doing.
I really don't. Stop acting like you know me. You don't know me. You don't know what I do.
You like fame. You like fame. You like viral moments. You like things like that.
Maybe
or in and around, buzzy things. You know what I mean? So you know Michael Rubin, and I get that. I just know he's got a lot of money, that he used to own the Sixers, and then he bought up these tickets so that, everyday fans can go. I think that's awesome. I think more owners should do that, especially in the playoffs. All these teams are worth billions of dollars. If you own it, you can afford to give away thousands of tickets at a sporting event. I think more team owners should do that. Show some generosity. Show some fan support. You know what I mean? Where does all this money really come from anyway? It's all the fanaticism and the watching of games, the buying of T-shirts, going to tickets and selling tickets to games. That's important. But come on. Give those tickets away when it comes playoff time. I love it.
Well said.
Think it's going to happen elsewhere?
I mean, in New York, it won't happen because James Dolan is just like the scum of planet Earth.
Oh, he would never do that.
Can you imagine James Dolan doing something for his loyal New York fans?
He would be like, what James Dolan would do is be like, I'm going to give 5 random fans the opportunity to pay to buy tickets, the first crack at buying them, for $500 a pop.
James Dolan's going to give away an autographed jersey of Mitchell Robinson.
Right. Yeah, Mitch Robinson.
Everybody's
That's exactly
clamoring
what it would be.
for a Mitchell Robinson
It would
jersey.
be a Mitchell Robinson jersey, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Dolan's a scum of earth. Is he lib?
That's a good question. I really don't know. I'm
Probably
not sure if he's
isn't,
one of these
honestly.
guys that's like public about his politics
Yeah,
or
probably the smart way to go these
whatever.
days. I actually was listening to, not really listening to, but watching a podcast, the Nelk Boys.
What is that again?
Me
Doesn't
once
surprise
again
you?
that you don't know.
Doesn't surprise you, right?
We're talking
I've
about
heard of it.
We're talking about a guy, and before we get into the Nelk
Okay.
Boys, we're talking about a guy, James Flippin, that lost sleep over the Knicks loss in Game 4. Right? You lost. Can you express your frustration about that game quickly? Without getting into just like 20 seconds, because I don't want to hear about it.
I felt like the game was over.
No, express your frustration. Like, how actually frustrated were you about the game?
I was very upset. Like I struggled to sleep that night. I woke up a couple of times in the middle, and then I had to go to the bathroom, and like I just saw Tyrese Maxey like mean mugging and like like flexing.
You like genuinely like you were hurt.
Yeah, because like stuff like that, I can't handle it. Like I need somebody to answer me. How do you not foul when you have a foul to give? I guess especially on the first possession, because the second one, like Maxey pulled up from the midcourt and shot it, so like you're not going to foul him right away. But like when the shot has to develop, and Mitch Robinson, speaking of him, fouls to make it a 4-point play, and you have a foul to give, that's just bad basketball. Like it's just terrible basketball. And then the missed free throw and the whole thing. Like I had flashbacks to Reggie Miller basically as a little kid.
Coming from a guy that you do watch a lot of regular season basketball. So little regular season basketball you called OG and Anunoby what?
Og.
Yeah.
Because I certainly didn't know anything about him when he was with Toronto or whatever.
We're talking about a guy that's losing
sleep.
But
I read about him as soon as that trade was made. I was like, oh, good.
Over Game 5.
A 3-and-D wing.
But went on the airwaves and called OG Anunoby Anunoby. And you're losing sleep. To me, that just doesn't correlate.
Well, but I mean, like, it's interesting you say that, because when it comes to like my Mets fandom and the fact that causes me to lose sleep, I can't really get around the league in baseball either. You know what I mean? Like, I know the guys that cause me consternation as members of other teams. I get nervous when they come up to the plate. By the way, it must be nice to have players that cause the opposition to get nervous.
See, this is another thing that you do that drives me crazy. And I have to actually give you some credit, because I do see a little Frank the Tank in you. You actually make me laugh. You make me laugh. Fascinating stuff. I really, I
by highlighting the Mets' shortcomings for some reason.
It's just funny because you get so angry, and it makes I just don't get angry over the games, especially in April.
And
anymore.
I'm jealous of that. I understand. Like, look, there's a reason.
But
that
the problem is, you just scream and shout like a 9-year-old baby.
No,
yet there's no data or real like intellectual stats behind your bitching and more. Just get up here. Like,
the problem is that there's reality behind it. The problem is that I, more than anybody, know the Mets' problems. I watch them every day. I've watched them for years. I've read about them for years. I care more than I should. Exactly like you said, right? April, going nuts. Early May, caring about games. It shouldn't be. But those who do, know. And the mediocrity that the Mets continue to roll out, these C-plus players, it sucks. Is it so bad that I want to watch like some great baseball players?
Which lineups
is that so bad?
Can you name like 10 lineups that are better than the Mets?
10?
You just complain and bitch and moan and go around the
Atlanta
MLB.
Braves, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Milwaukee Brewers.
Like the Brewers
the
do not
Reds,
have a better lineup on paper than
Chicago
the Mets. You
Cubs.
can't even name 3 players in the Brewers lineup. So the big bad Brewers, who you said have a better lineup than the Mets, who are their 3 hitters? Who are their 3 most impactful hitters?
The catcher, obviously.
What's his name?
It's the same as the guy in St. Louis. Contreras.
What's his first name?
Willie or something like that.
Right, close enough. William Contreras, having some year. He's a deep nut.
Reese Hoskins. Christian Yelich, former MVP.
All right, you got 3. Can you name one more?
If I thought about it really hard, I could think of somebody. Rowdy Tellez.
Not on the Milwaukee Brewers, but good guess. Good, very cute guess. He's on the Pirates.
He used to be on the Brewers.
Used to be in the Brewers about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Last year it was.
Whatever. They're good. Again, Christian Yelich is a former MVP.
Yeah, that's always hurt.
Former MVP.
You know what? When was the last time? Do you know that Christian Yelich is on the IL right now with back back problems?
I mean, he's always got back problems.
Oh, yes, exactly. So he's really not an impactful player when he doesn't ever play.
When he plays, he's impactful.
Move along. I'll give you Milwaukee. Even though I think the Mets lineup is better, Milwaukee might at this
Here's
exact
the thing.
second.
Pete Alonso answers the bell every day. He plays all the time.
Yeah, so does Lindor.
Always plays. And then he puts up a 235 batting average.
Move along, next
and just
team.
totally disappears for weeks on end.
Can you name any other teams that you think have more impactful players in the Mets?
I told you already. I said.
You named the three.
Cincinnati Reds.
The Reds
That's
do
a
not
lineup
have
I
a
would-
better
it's a
lineup than
lineup
the
I'd
Mets.
much
They
rather
just
have.
named 3 hitters.
Okay. There's Jonathan India.
Jonathan.
There's
Look what we're doing. Seriously, we're talking
Ellie-
about Jonathan
Ellie De
India.
La Cruz.
Jonathan, and nothing
Ellie
against
De La-
Jonathan. We're talking
Ellie
about
De La
Jonathan
Cruz.
India being an impactful hitter. That's when this conversation stops. That's when we move on. You're naming Jonathan India as an impactful hitter.
They've also got the kid in left field who was like almost a rookie of the year last year.
Who?
I don't know their names.
So like, what are we doing?
What does
You're
it
just
matter?
saying because you gotta
because
come
I'm
with
not-
data. You gotta
I'm not
have. You gotta
making
have
their
a clue. You
baseball
can't just say
card.
the Mets don't have impactful hitters
Because
and
I
their
know their
lineup's a
team.
disgrace.
I know their
and then
team.
say
They
every
have
other
guys
team has
batting
better, but
190
they
and 200.
don't. The problem
They
is the
do.
Mets have
They
an
do.
average lineup.
They
Here's the
do.
problem with the Mets right now. They have an average lineup, and they're second best hitter,
I'll wait
Francisco
for you to
Lindor, has
finish.
been terrible.
I'll wait for you to
And
finish.
after Lindor, you have J.D. Martinez. Yes, he's old, but he is an impactful.
I like JD Martinez.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they
JD
have
Martinez is
plus
a great
Brandon
guy to
Nimmo.
have.
You at least have 4 impactful hitters
Get
on
some
that
guys
lineup.
like JD Martinez who are 26 or 27 years old, a couple of them,
There's
and
not
have them
that
batting
many.
2 or 3.
That's the problem.
And have them
that you
batting
don't
2 or
know.
3.
There's not
Yeah,
a
guess
lot
what?
of
I just watched them play.
hitters in the MLB right now.
And I just watched them play a couple of weeks ago, okay? And you want to know the gold standard? Where do the Mets rank in terms of payroll?
That's Justin Verlander and
just say,
number
answer
one.
the question, right? So near the top. Let's
Number
just say
one.
top 5.
Number one.
Right, number 1. But like you said, dead money and all that kind of stuff, but they're in the top 5. They've got all these guys that are getting paid. They're established veterans. Brandon Nimmo, Jeff
Good.
McNeil,
McNeil
Francisco Lindor,
All-star.
Pete Alonso, end of arbitration, about to get paid in free agency. They're mediocre.
They're not.
They're mediocre players. They
That's just not-
none of them ever carry the lineup for an extended period of time.
There's
Ever.
not many hitters that do. That's just the problem
Yes,
with
they
baseball.
do.
There's
That's the
maybe
pro-
30
You've
in the
deluded
league.
yourself into believing that it's okay to have shitty baseball players all the time. It's okay to actually have good ones that you enjoy watching. Other teams enjoy watching their teams come up to bat.
I
It's
mean,
a thing.
you named Jonathan India. Like, that's when the conversation needs to stop.
Let's
As an
talk
impactful
about
hitters.
2 teams in the division: the Philadelphia
Yes.
Phillies and the Atlanta Braves.
And the Braves built their team through their farm system. They didn't really pay anybody. The Phillies, they paid a ton of guys.
And I'm not. Look, I am looking forward to what happens under the Stearns era, and I hope that some of these guys they're developing in the minor leagues can be a 300 hitter who hits 35 homers a year, drives in 100 runs. They exist. It's a thing in baseball. Throughout baseball history, players like that exist. They bat 2 or 3 in the lineup, sometimes clean up, and they carry you for times on end. And it's a beautiful thing.
I want to move along here. We're just going to agree to disagree, and partly I'm just going to disagree because you're bothering me today. But I see where you're coming from. The Mets don't have a great lineup. I'm not going to sit here and act like the Mets have a great lineup. But when you compare them to the rest of the MLB, it's slightly above average. Let's move on. I want to get some like clickbaity clips here. I'm just going to ask you some questions. We're going to keep these like 1 minute per segment.
Okay.
So don't go on a tyrant right
like
now.
that.
I know you like to talk. I know you like to do the hand motions. I know you like to hold your coffee. Just shut up and keep them like 30 seconds to 45
like hand
seconds
motions
right
and
now.
coffee and such.
How does Mike Trout always get hurt? Playing baseball in a non-contact, and it's just at the end of the day, a non-contact sport. How does a guy like Mike Trout always get hurt?
I mean, it's just bad luck, man. I mean, like some guys just can't stay healthy. Well, how come Eli Manning never got hurt? I know it's a different sport. How come Ken Griffey always got hurt? You know what I mean? Like how come Lou Gehrig never did?
Because
Cal Ripken never did.
if you just stuck Mike Trout in this room and you stuck Eli Manning in this room, you'd say, what the hell is this guy Eli doing in the same?
Well, I mean, that's kind of a good point, right? Like, I mean, like Mike Trout looks like he was always built like a brick
is he
shit
too
house.
big? Is that the problem? Because
But he doesn't look like a guy who
well, his neck
lives
is
in the
bigger
gym.
than your head.
Exactly.
Mine got a big head, so maybe not.
He just
my
looks
head.
like a guy who's naturally muscle bound, and sometimes those guys, whether it's the maybe the stress that puts on their tendons or the little connecting muscles and all that kind of stuff. Like who's the guy? Ozzie Guillen, right? He was like, fat don't pull. You don't tear fat. You know what I mean? Like again, that's a little overstated, but just bad luck. It sucks too, because and I heard the guys talking about it yesterday, where all the old heads kind of hate on Trout. They're like, he's not one of the best of all time, but you look at the stats in terms of the short period of time, what he did. He had like a very Gale Sayers type career in terms of like burn for a brief period of time, but man, did it burn bright.
I mean, if he's healthy, he's arguably the best player in the MLB. He's just never healthy, so that's a problem. So stats are always going to be good, but he's going to go down as a guy that was always hurt and never really won because he played on the Angels.
And he's kind of cooked now. His average is going down.
I mean, he's not
like,
kind of cooked now. He had 10 home runs and 6 steals. He led the league in home runs before he got hurt.
He was showing his power stroke,
kind of cooked.
Still bad.
He was a top 10 player in fantasy, but yeah,
he was one of those guys. He was one of those guys that would hit like 315,
no, he was kind of
320.
cooked. He was a top 10 player in fantasy baseball. He led the league in home runs, but James Flippin says he was kind of cooked because his average was down. All right, moving along. How many points do you think Caitlin Clark would score in an NBA game if she started? If she played for the Knicks tonight and you took Josh Hart out of the lineup and you put Caitlin Clark in the lineup for Josh Hart against Philadelphia, how many points would she score tonight? What would her over-under be listed as?
Interesting. Maybe like 8.5.
8.5. I think that's fair, actually.
I mean, like I feel like
she's score, right?
She's going to drain some threes, right? Like they're going to leave her sort of like out on the wing, and she's going to eventually get some wide open looks and hit a three.
Okay,
maybe 1 or 2.
What's the best sports video game? From Madden, NHL, MLB, NBA?
Well, for me personally, I'm a baseball video games guy. So MVP 2004.
Ooh, wow. That's my favorite game, low-key.
Get out of here. Seriously?
Yeah, the one with, it was either Manny or Pujols on the cover.
Well, Pujols was 2003.
Okay, so Manny was 2004. Yes, MVP Baseball 2004. Great soundtrack, too,
yeah, so
on
they
that
had
game.
The idiots.
I got a dirty little secret.
Exactly, secret. Yeah, I mean, it's been so long since I played the game that those aren't stuck in my head as easily as they would be. But had a great dynasty mode.
Oh, wow.
Had minor leagues, which I'm into. Like, I like to sim the seasons and kind of like control the GM aspect
so did
of
I.
it and stuff like that.
Does that make us nerds?
I think so. Yeah. But you know what I also loved about that game was when you get further into the future. Again, this was back like 10 years ago when I was playing it. It would kind of catch up to real time. So like you'd be playing with like a 37-year-old Albert Pujols and seeing if you can get the 500 home runs and stuff like that. I enjoyed that.
That's your number one video game all time. MVP Baseball 2004, great game.
Yeah, but also there's so many. Obviously, any number of Maddens. Some of the older ones were ones I played more often.
The problem with Madden is it's the same thing every year.
NCAA
I'd like to give a shout out to NHL. I think NHL 3 versus 3. It's like a club mode. So like if Eric, you and myself, we all got into a club, we made a team, and we play against 3 other people online. And you control a user, and you have stats. And
I know you said we have to move on quickly with these, but I'll just mention that my freshman year of college, this was 2003, there was no like online gaming back then. But you could have multiple user franchises in Dynasty mode.
Yes.
So like 8 guys on the dorm all had teams.
Yeah, that's fun.
It got really competitive.
Fun stuff.
Fist fights broke out, stuff like that.
Fist fights.
Well, I
would imagine you weren't in any.
No, I didn't take it that seriously. But my roommate, we got to end.
We're good.